Good to see, good to be. It's Dilly D, Dave Dilly, out here with Ryuu, hanging out for a good time on a Vibe Union podcast. How are we doing there today, my friend?
Well,
Cheers.
how are you?
I'm golden, great. I'm in it, not to win it, but I do adore whatever it is that we partake in. Ryuu, thank you for joining me today, but before we completely get into it, a great way to get grounded, a call back to my own show, Grounded with Dilly Dave, is to acknowledge the sacred ground that we're on. So I think for myself and you, it's probably going to be a combination of we're on the land of the Burunwaring and the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. So I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians, not owners of this land. They did it different back then, and it really makes you think.
And sovereignty was never ceded.
Sovereignty was never ceded. I'd like to acknowledge elders past, present, and emerging, and let it be known that there's work to do and acknowledgements to be had.
Absolutely.
Is there anything you want to tap onto that, or you're kind of happy with that?
I'm grateful for it. As an immigrant myself, I'm always extremely grateful for the opportunity presented to reside in this country, so I'm very happy about it.
Golden. Ryuu, the wordsmith, the crafter of both verbs, adjectives, any kind of way that you want to break down language. Ryuu has probably already been there and done that. So just to start with, what's the vibe check? How you feeling today? It's been busy or nay? Talk to us.
So hectic. Today's been busy as just working at the craft, doing what I need to do to just get the job done, keeping everything above board as I can these days, so I'm very happy and grateful for that as well.
So you used to be quite below board, a little bit off the radar, a little bit off the grid, a little bit...
It was a long time ago, but it was, circumstances were that you do what you have to do, and we don't pass judgment for, people doing what needs to be done in order to survive. Absolutely.
So, what brings you out to Chapel Street? We are in limbo land between bar up to in front of us and Blue Bar behind us, surrounded by bars, obviously with the drink and whatnot. What are you out here on Chapel Street doing tonight, right? What's going on?
I am out here tonight to spit my shit. Can we curse on this?
Absolutely, I encourage it.
Because I tend to verse with this. Anyways, no, tonight I'm going out to Blue Bar. I'm just going to be... presenting some new poetry that I came up with just today.
Ooh.
Off the back of something that somebody said to me last week, and it's kind of ruminating with me.
What was the prompt? New shit?
New shit. The prompt was somebody in the Vibe U last session.
Yeah.
They commented something that made me quite sad. It was very... They were talking about the feeling of insignificance. Mm-hmm. We are 1 in 7 billion people on this planet. And it's like, it can be very disheartening. But I'm a very big fan of keeping it cosmic. Which the whole idea of recognizing your insignificance in the grand scheme of the cosmos, and how incredibly fortunate we are to be able to perceive that insignificance.
Yeah, that's a good take. I feel like there's two takes to that cosmic angle. The one is I'm the grain of sand. Yeah. What does it matter? But the other thing is like the actual chances of any one of us being here and showing up, you roll the dice, you do the odds, exactly, to get here,
crazy. What are the odds?
All the life forms that never made it, either to be conceived or not conceived of. Yeah. So I think you're right with the cosmic significance. It's a good mindset to have.
Well, it's one that it took a lot of time for me to cultivate, because at one point in my life I certainly felt very insignificant, and spent a good chunk of my life getting away from a circumstance where I had no peace of mind, and getting away to find that peace of mind was it was a challenge, but I'm where I'm at now because I've been able to break free of that sort of perception of insignificance.
Because it does take a little while to kind of develop or transform any kind of perspective, but especially as a teenager, we're like, oh my god, I'm so irrelevant, I'm such a mess, I'm either hideous, or I feel like a lack of self-worth, or I don't know where I fit in, all that kind of stuff. But to be able to go through a passage or a path where you overcome resistance to life, and then you come out on the other side with this kind of cosmic perspective.
And it's been 20 years since I was a teenager, so I reckon I went through my bit.
Right.
Although some people have their existential crisis a little early, some people have it a little late. I think COVID has given us all the opportunity to have sometimes our first existential crisis. And
it was an existential booster, wasn't it?
It definitely was. I think a lot of us who've already had ours kind of went through COVID and we're like, I know what to do for this. But for a lot of people, it was their first time ever having to encounter something so threatening to their persona.
Being forced to be comfortable with yourself.
Yeah.
Right? To be comfortable in your own skin, comfortable in your own company.
I had to face my own comfort in my own skin as well. I spend a lot of time being extroverted just purely for the sake of, feeling out of my own skin.
Feeling out of the skin. Sounds like some Alien Predator stuff.
Oh man, we literally was watching that last night. Rewatched.
Truly?
Aliens. Yeah, truly.
Hey,
truly.
Fan of the series, or?
I'm a huge fan of the series.
Or the franchise, I should say.
I love this stuff. I love it so much.
Cool. So you've always been into the horror action type movies?
Oh, horror is the penultimate genre for the queer community. We are persistently monster-fied, and I'm always happy to say that I'm gonna be that monster.
Fucking yeah, I like that. Monsters Inc. Forever, for life. All right, let's get to some artists. Let's profile you. I just want to profile. I just want to put you in a box and package it and upload it. So, you're a musician, you're an artist, you're a wordsmith. What got you started? What got you started on this?
I started writing rhymes in 2004.
Okay.
Grady Elron was my 10th grade English teacher.
On your Grady?
And I was not enjoying writing the journals that he had us do our daily journals with.
Right.
And so I said, look, I'm a music nerd. I want to do something musical with my journals. And so I wrote poetry instead. And I presented it, and he said, this shit's good. Keep it up. And so I did. And so since then, I've just been writing poetry, but just for myself. It's like a daily journal kind of thing.
Right.
I've been doing that since 2004. I took a little break around...
17 years.
Yeah, it's been about,
Wow.
I took a break around 2013 when I moved to Australia, because I found a dance studio that I could train at, and I took up breakdancing over at Crossover. And
cool.
I've been doing that since 2013, and it's been a lot of fun. Definitely more fun dancing than what I was doing before, which is just, stripping and dancing at the clubs and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Which, again...
Do they call it jazz? I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's like...
I'm so stupid. You're going to have to, You're going to have to ignore generally about 60% of the stuff that I say.
Done.
Otherwise, it's just going to get in the
to.
way. Okay, good. It's easy to. A little sass off to the side there. Okay, so,
But yeah, I took that break,
so year
came
10,
back,
yep.
Took that break from it, came back, and then...
So break from writing poetry, not necessarily music.
Mm-hmm.
So are we talking about up until 2013, you had just been writing poetry. Is that right?
Pretty much.
Okay, cool.
And then in 2013, I decided to... 2010, 2013, around there,
yep.
I started shifting my focus to dance. I was having difficulty articulating a lot of my emotion through my words.
Hard to embody some of it,
It's
I
very
imagine.
difficult to. And I found that the physicality of dance was a really good way to get that music energy out of my system. Because for me, these were my journals. These were my process my thoughts every day, push myself through my circumstances, get to the other end of it. But I don't always have the words for it. My memory is not that great for reasons to do with some of the shit I did.
Yeah.
But
drug abuse.
Yeah.
Me too.
But look, it's and that causes problems with that. But it means that I have to get that out of my system, and dance was a great way to do that. But then COVID happened, and it's like, well, shit, I can't dance. The studios are all closed. The clubs are all closed.
Right. Wait. We've done a skip from 2013 to 2019.
So I've been just dancing and breaking since then.
Okay,
yeah.
so that was the dance break period. You're here in... Have you always been in Melbourne when you were in Australia?
I
or?
moved to Melbourne from Sydney in October 2019, so right before lockdowns.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah.
What made you move to Melbourne?
My husband got a job working for Qantas here, so was really, really fortunate to be working a decent job at the time in Sydney.
Yeah.
I had the flexibility to leave and do whatever. And so, yeah, I took his opportunity to move to Melbourne as my opportunity to move to Melbourne.
Yeah.
Start fresh. And we came down here together. And yeah, I've been here since COVID started. And with the lockdowns, nowhere to really dance and train.
Yeah.
I decided to dig out my old rhyme books and see what I had. And one of my coworkers put me on to Vibe Union. He's friends with Hum Diggity, who is a producer in Melbourne. And Hum said that he liked some of the poetry that I had.
Cool. Wait, who is your friend?
So my friend is a bloke named Ryan, who I worked with in the job I had when I moved here.
Yeah.
And he's a sound engineer.
Ah, cool.
And he heard I was a breaker and that I used to write poetry, and so he introduced me to Hum. Hum liked my shit.
Yeah.
Hum introduced me to the Vibe U, and now I've been over at Blue Bar every few weeks just doing my thing now.
Pretty much for about a year and a half or something, no?
Something like
Who's
that.
Hum? Who's Hum?
I have no idea.
It's just a local producer, Hum Diggity.
So, yeah, well, it's interesting because, I mean, maybe they know of Vibe Union, but we just don't know of them in a way.
It's funky that, eh?
That's cool. I love that. It's always interesting to find out how people...
I think he's on the Vibe U Facebook page.
Like the one that's mainly just for members, or the public one, just the general one? Okay, cool. So you would say that so when would you say that you started to like pursue the, because you make music now, so when did you start pursuing that, right?
Well, making the music itself was always kind of in the back end. You know,
Okay.
I took music theory and piano lessons when I was a little kid.
Right.
Parents kind of made you do it. And
Me too.
Yeah, they were like, my parents were. My dad's a musician. He's a guitar player. And they wanted me to get into music and making music. So I started when I was very little on sheet music, just writing music out. You know.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I couldn't, during the days I was journaling, some days when I couldn't really get the words out,
Yeah.
I'd hit the keyboards and I just work on stuff in that way. So music and making music has always been something, a part of my life.
Because the music predated the poetry back in 2004.
Music has been a part of my life since
Forever.
I was an infant.
Okay.
You know, my first words were the lyrics to Baba Ran.
Oh wow, that's powerful and annoying too. But
It's
also
really annoying.
Very
It's
funny.
really annoying.
So, I guess this question, maybe you've kind of already answered this, but you know, like, what is it about the music or the art that makes you passionate about it? You were talking about like being able to embody things that you maybe wouldn't be able to articulate. Is that the main source of the passion, or what is it? Tell us.
I'm really not sure where the source of the passion is.
Okay.
But it does have a driving goal.
Okay.
So
Let us hear that goal.
for me, at the end of the day, I want to make sure that nobody has to go through the kind of bullshit that I had to go through to get here.
Relieving suffering, in a way.
Nobody deserves to be homeless. Nobody
Yeah.
deserves to be kicked out. Nobody deserves to have relatives who would disown them.
Yeah.
Nobody deserves that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And I had to do my dirt after that experience in order to become stable to where I am today. And all the way, music was one of those things that I could always latch onto, that always kept me afloat.
Kind of grounded you.
Every single time, you know? Pop in my headphones, pop on a CD player, whatever it took just to escape from that rough situation. And music has that sort of transposing power. It moves you from one place to another.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
it's an agent of transportation.
if you think we're small, being 1 in 7 billion, if that feels insignificant, perhaps I'll turn the scope a little inward. You see, we only have 5 senses feeding signals like traffic lights along our 33 vertebrae. Only 78 organs held in place by 206 bones down to our fingertips. Which craft these rhythms with just a handful of the 640 muscles, which we control with a fraction of our 86 billion brain neurons. Through the 7 trillion nerves in the body systems, stacked like hamburgers in a cycle of birth and murder amidst the 39 trillion microbes that call each one of our bodies home.
Because it was something that kept me grounded,
Yeah.
I know that I'm not going to be the only person who has felt that way with music.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to give the world, that same sort of groundedness that I found in music to help them through their difficult times. You know?
Cool. So it's kind of like this offering to people in society, really.
Pretty much.
Not so much self-serving, but to serve others.
I've never been good at doing things for myself.
Me too.
I find it very difficult to look out for me, but I find that I'm generally a happier person when I'm serving and helping others.
Do you think that's a trait of like a high empath kind of thing? You know, almost thinking about others first before oneself in a way, because you kind of tuned in to what's going on?
Could be.
Could be.
It could be trauma.
Could be trauma.
It could be trauma.
The answer to many things.
It could be.
All right. So outside of the music and the poetry and the wordsmithing, are there any other hobbies or interests that kind of keep your momentum going, your attention kind of fulfilled and grabbed?
Music is such a huge chunk of it.
Yeah.
Music and my dance.
Yeah.
And that takes up such a huge chunk of my time.
If they were taken away temporarily. Not momentarily, I'm not going to take it away from you.
Thanks.
Temporarily.
I wouldn't let you. No.
That's true, it's true.
I guess maybe I'd probably spend all my time playing video games. Video games and anime.
There it is. There it is. That's very similar for me too.
Yeah. Video games and anime.
Okay, so what's been your highest ranked or most favorite video game that you played, and then followed up with anime series or show?
Oh gosh, love the classics for anime. Give me that Dragon Ball Z, Naruto,
Huge.
One Piece,
Yep.
Bleach.
Yes.
And some of the new stuff is funky too.
New Bleach is coming, by the way.
I heard about that.
Cool.
Crazy. Some of the newer anime is pretty cool. I love Mob Psycho.
Okay.
That's been funky as heck.
Wait, Mob Psycho or just Psycho?
No, it's Mob Psycho.
Okay,
It's
cool.
really good. And then I think I've been enjoying that My Hero Academia thing. That's pretty newish. I've enjoyed that a bit.
Which one, sorry?
I think it's like My Hero Academia. I enjoy those. They're
Okay.
fun.
Is that a bit more of a magic fantasy
I think
infusion?
it feels like it, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
And then I think video games wise, I just finished Hades, which I was so excited to see that they won the Hugo Award for a new category that they had to invent for the game because the writing was so good.
Wow.
If you're not familiar, the Hugo is a literary award. It goes out to written works.
Yep.
And they invented a new category for video games that are excellent written works.
What's the name of the category?
Excellence in literature for a video game, I think is what it was.
So it's more about writing than anything else.
Yeah, it's more about the writing.
Okay.
And Hades, which I just finished, won that award this year for its premiere of that, which I was really excited to have finally played that.
Cool.
But I've always been a
Big
first
nerd?
person. Yeah, nerd. I'm a huge nerd.
Yeah.
I worked in a comic book store for 5 years.
Oh, no shit.
So that was
In
fun
here
class.
or the States?
In the States.
Yeah,
I worked
yeah.
at Atomic Empire. I still have a subscription with them. I got my delivery like yesterday.
Hey.
Yeah.
That's cool as heck.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's cool to know that you got some other things outside of,
Oh, definitely.
the creative stuff, because you do need that. You need to step away,
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I do find that a lot of stepping away from the creative stuff just means I'm looking at more creative stuff. I'm looking at art in video games. I'm looking at comic books. I'm looking
Right.
at writers. I'm
Right.
looking at cinema. all of these incredible works of art and animation and storytelling.
Totally.
And I don't care if it's the same 7 stories being retold over and over again. Somebody said that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I still enjoy them. It's so much fun.
Right. Well, you know, even in the remixing of just like soundtracks and the visuals behind any kind of concept narrative,
100%.
is like, you know, it's all there and it's all zest.
Yeah.
It's all zest. All right. So when it comes to your poetry, you know, your music, your craft, in the next year or so, what are you doing in the next year with your stuff? Are you releasing anything? Is anything coming up soon?
I am currently working on my next single, hopefully going to be an EP.
Cool. Cool.
Likely going to be through Willy Wagtail Productions. They released my most recent single, Jazz One, on Spotify and now at Apple Music. Go check it out.
When did you release Jazz One?
Jazz One came out like 2 weeks ago. It's
Oh,
brand
fresh
new,
as. Yeah,
super
right. I'm
fresh.
going to have to get on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your name on Spotify? Is it Ryuu?
Well, Ryuu is my name, but
Yeah,
the
yeah.
artist name I've been using is Bbae Scribbles.
Bbae Scribbles. Yeah, cool,
That's
cool.
B-B-A-E.
Yeah, cool. Bbae. I love that. I mean, everyone needs a Bay.
Everyone needs a Bay.
So you're working on this EP.
And I've got like 4, maybe 5 other singles in the pipe.
Yep.
Hopefully I can get them all out in 1 year. That would be really great.
So you're sitting on quite a bounty of gold, quite the hill,
I'm
quite the
very
mountain.
excited about it. What I want to be able to start doing is engineering my own samples. Because over the last couple of years with COVID, I've been building a library of samples from a few crate diggers that I know over in the UK who are some good friends of mine. And we've been building up this massive library of
Hey.
really solid gems. And I've been taking those, and if you've ever seen the live streams on YouTube from Vibe Union, anytime you hear music in the background that's playing, that's something that I've mixed.
Oh,
those are
truly.
my samples that I have cut just for this episode.
Oh, that's really cool. That's dope.
Yeah, I'll usually cut it like an hour before the show.
Oh, so fresh.
Oh yeah, I always like it fresh. I want to be able to cut the way some of the old school DJs do it, because I watch them perform and I'm so fascinated by that talent.
It's good
and
to
they've
be
got the
hands-on
ear
with
for
this
music
stuff.
that I've got, which
Yeah.
is like, if they've got that kind of ear for music that I've got, I could probably do that. So I'm teaching myself how to do it, and I've been at it for less than a year now, and I've already got my first single out, so I think I'm
Yeah.
going to keep going.
Okay, so all the cuts and the production is your stuff, and then you're working with somebody else to mix and arrange? Is like kind
Currently,
of the
I've
deal?
got somebody else who I arrange with, although my first single
Yeah.
my first single was made by them. Actually, I sent them, I was speaking with them because I was a breakdancer in one of his other guys' music videos,
Cool.
and he found out from the guy whose music video it was, Big Danny. Big Danny told him that I write my own music and to get in touch with me. He saw my videos with Vibe Union and he
Hey.
said, "Oh shit, this guy actually can rap." And I said, "Yeah, I know my poetry." And he said,
Alright.
"Well, I'm gonna give you a beat. Show me what you can do with it." And I said, Phew, turned around in 48 hours and I said, "Here's the music."
That's amazing. To have the capacity for the quick turnover, it's like,
Yeah.
it sounds like you're very good at being in the moment and like just connecting dots, and you've kind of, I feel like you've worked through a lot of stuff that's given you clear channels to things now. You've done all this like, both like background work for the craft and the music and the writing, but then also like life and head stuff where you can kind of get out of your own way as well.
I feel like it's really important to have all 5 elements mixed together in terms of what you're trying to do with promoting the culture of hip-hop.
Yes.
For me, that's a big part of what got me out of my shit way that I was in, you know? We won't talk too much about that. That gets into philosophy, I think.
Yeah,
But,
no, that's cool. No,
but
I
yeah.
think that's important. People often forget the elements and they just focus on like the one thing, or maybe they just focus on literally the image, you know, of the thing. Or
Image
maybe-
is funky. I
Right.
won't, braggadocio is an important part of the storytelling, and I appreciate it. You know? I'm a bit hesitant to flex my own braggadocio because I'm still too new and I will not.
I feel similar. I feel like, you know, you got to pay some dues before you call yourself the
100%.
dude, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely.
What do you feel are like your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to, you know, your creativity and what you pursue?
Weakness is kryptonite.
Yeah, of course, you are the Superman.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Only one thing
No.
to stop you.
No, I got a funny story about that one some other time. But
Yeah.
no, weakness is realistically, I'm very self-critical. I tend to punch down at myself a lot, and I got to work on that. You know.
Well, where do you see the error in Where do you see the error in punching down on yourself?
I mean, like, the way I see it is like, I feel a lot like Goku. You gotta get knocked down to get back up stronger, right?
Yes.
You know, if you don't beat yourself up, how are you going to try to overcome yourself?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I punch down at myself, but it means that I do it to challenge myself, but sometimes I take it too far, and sometimes I just make myself sad. So
Well,
it's finding Socrates' golden mean.
Yeah. Well, it can be a way to stimulate growth. It can also be a way to, like, destroy your self-worth as well.
Exactly. So finding that little golden mean there. You know?
Yeah. Okay, so, you know, that's kind of your weakness, and you've almost incorporated a strength in there, maybe like a high awareness, but what would you feel is your strength?
I think my strength is definitely my puzzle solving.
Your what?
Puzzle solving.
Puzzle solving. I
Puzzle
like
solving.
that. So,
I'm super good. You give me a problem,
Right.
and I will work a solution.
right.
You know,
Are we talking puzzles like overcoming real-world obstacles? Are you
Real
talking
world.
about, like,
Real world.
perceiving patterns and things?
Okay, well, perceiving patterns is part of real world puzzle solving.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, perceiving patterns is part of that.
Yeah.
Being aware of the patterns but only a small thing. That's
Right.
just, you know, consciousness of, hey, this is what it is.
Right,
Puzzle
right.
solving is seeing what it is and then saying, here's what I'm going to do with it. Setting yourself a goal and figuring out a way to get there.
Right. It's making it...
It's
manifesting
manifesting it.
manifesting and making it manageable as well.
Making it manageable is super important. You have
Yeah.
to know how to take your goal, no matter how big and audacious it might be. You have to learn how to break it down into the smaller steps so that you can take those individual steps. Eventually, you make it there.
Yeah.
You know, but it takes time. You know, for me, emigrating to Australia was a 10-year process. It took me a lot of time, and I had to break down
Yeah.
individual steps to get here.
Yeah, right. And that was your approach from the start, or that was the
start.
period from the start?
From the start.
Yeah, okay, that's great. All right, so that was that 10 years. What have you planned or thought forward for the next 10 years?
My next 10-year plan is make an album, and if I am successful with it, I would really love to use the money to start opening up halfway homes. You know, 2001 was the highest year for LGBT homelessness.
Right.
In New Zealand, Australia, US, and a few others off the top of my head.
Yeah,
And, you know, that was something that I empathize with because I went through that.
yeah.
And so, the long-term goal has always been to raise awareness of this issue and do something about it. If I ever had the money to do something about it, I'd be buying properties and I'd be letting people live in them rent-free. You know, I just want to say,
Yeah.
like, all right, here's a place you can stay.
Yeah.
Go nuts.
Yeah.
You know?
Just to you know, safe place to sort it
Safe
out,
place
right?
for that, because homelessness is just so bullshit. There's absolutely no reason why it should exist in the world today at all. Full stop. In any country.
This is very true. You know,
So
this is absolutely
for me,
very true.
that's the long-term goal. You want a 10-year plan? The 10-year plan is mix.
Yeah.
Start making the kind of money I make now on my day job.
Yeah.
On my music.
Yeah.
That's a step.
And then almost having your future self invested in your, you know, past self in a way, but just how your past self manifests with other people in that similar experience.
A very wise man said, the past informs the present that we may determine the future. And I vibe with that.
That's been the direction that's kind of steered you.
For a very long time, yeah.
That's real cool.
Yeah.
All right, so to kind of wrap it up a little bit, this is a Vibe Union podcast. So I'd like to say, what has been your kind of... I guess we kind of know how you came into Vibe Union, but what's been your experience and what have you enjoyed about like Vibe Union? What has Vibe Union done for you?
Vibe Union has given me an opportunity to practice and perfect a developing craft. Something that I knew that I needed, but I had no idea how to get to it.
Right.
I've always known that if I wanted to get really good with my rhymes and my poetry, I needed to put it out into the world.
Yeah. Run it live.
Vibe Union has given me that opportunity. And even though half the time I'm reading it off of my phone, it's because it's new shit. New shit.
Yeah.
Day, like 2 days before, you know? And presenting it super fresh, live to an audience with Vibe Union is giving me the best kind of feedback that I could have ever hoped for. Because I can look at this and say, okay, this hit. This hit, this didn't hit, and I can work with that.
Yeah.
I say if it hits, I take it home into the workshop and I start looking for samples that I can mix around with it.
It's
and
really...
if it doesn't hit, I put it on the side, work on it later.
It sounds like you got the kind of approach that a stand-up comedian would have, right? So it's like, you don't know what works until you hit the people with it, right? You know, you have an inkling.
I like
or maybe
Joe Pesci's response to that. You think I'm funny?
Yeah.
Am I funny to you? Am I a joke?
Yeah. That's great. That sounds like a scene from Fast and Goodfellas. That's what it is. Yeah. I like it because it's like, it is a bit different because you could write a track on your own and record it and it might sound good. It might just like sound good.
Sure.
But when it comes to like, you know, you write stuff fresh for the day, you know, fresh for an event, fresh for a thing to kind of like perform and present to, and then you get to like, you know, get to run it live. You get to, you know, run the simulation of like, what is the best way to manifest my wordsmith, you know, like your shit. And
being able to read the energy of the audience gives you that opportunity.
Energy reading.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I'm glad that you've found that with Vibe Union in your like...
Reading the vibe.
Yeah.
Vibe Union has given me the ability to read the vibe.
Oh, yes. It's hard to get anyone else to articulate that better. Ryuu, thanks so much.
Thank you.
For coming on today. I think this is... Oh, God, I feel like this is maybe the 34th, 35th episode of the Vibe Union podcast.
Nice.
Regardless of the number... you know what it is. You can catch Vibe Union in all of the socials. We have so many events. We've got about 4 events every month, from Talking Blue to get your spoken word stuff out. We will be running. Actually, the floor is yours next week on the 13th. I believe that is a Thursday.
I'll be there.
The 14th Thursday, at Boogeyman Bar in Richmond, Mr. Boogeyman Bar in Richmond.
Yeah.
There'll be State of Oscillation, our kind of DJ. Paint up, you know, kind of, you know, throw paint at the wall kind of scenario. Radio bars the last Saturday of every month. The events don't stop coming, and neither do the great people. So yeah, thanks again, Ryuu, for jumping on board.
Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful experience. Thanks so much.
Golden. This is Dave Dilly, signing out for Vibe Union Podcast.
Peace.
Peace.